Long time no see. Here we are back again with another stream. David and I here to tirelessly answer all of your difficult, tricky questions. Let's bring David in here. That was the fastest intro yet.
Yeah, no, straight to the point. I think we might still be in post Pierre's discussion with Syndrome, so we're just like, let's do this. Actually, it's the first time we have those two streams at the same day, right?
I think so. We've had two streams before. It's been a while.
Yeah,
but
honestly,
it was like, go ahead.
The last 3 months were just a blur. So,
do you remember where you lived? Do you know what year it is?
I have the basic.
Okay.
I have the basic information I need. That's it. That's
Fair enough.
all I have.
That's all you need.
Yep. So how was it with Jacob? I think it's Jacob that.
Yeah, he was with me last time. It was fun. Yeah.
Guest.
Yeah, he seemed to have a lot of fun too. It was good. We just kind of just rolled with the punches and just answered the questions as we could. A lot of fun anecdotes. It was good. It was fun.
Yeah.
I think he'll come back. I think we treated him nice enough. He'll come back. Hopefully.
He looked like he genuinely enjoyed it. So
yeah, he messaged me right afterwards. He's like, "That was fun. Let's totally do that again." So that's good.
And having someone that can answer animation question that is actually still animating instead of myself. I always have this little imposter syndrome. Yeah, I still remember those years, but it's been so long.
It adds a whole other layer of icing to that imposter syndrome cake, right? If you think about it, it's like, it used to be you feel like an imposter while you're an animator, feeling like an imposter, and now you don't even animate regularly anymore. So now it's like sort of like it's a weird kind of like,
yeah.
Maybe we actually are imposters now. Finally, we've graduated to full on imposter. It could be
like we said last time. That little voice, it's never not going anywhere. Get used to it.
That's it. Yeah, he's never said anything good.
All right, so let's see what chat has for us.
Yeah, well, we got some good juicy ones. I'm going to make sure I ask the main question right now that Scott wants us to ask. So let's do it. So we got one here by Curves Be Curvy. Good handle. I like it. And this question is probably too long.
That's a long one.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to read it right off the sheet here. It's getting harder to sit at my desk animating. That's like a confessional. I like the way this one reads. Like a lot.
Is it really a question or just therapy?
I don't know. It might be therapy. I don't know. We'll see what happens when we get to the end here. Like a lot. I enjoy the creative process and all, making decisions on things, but story ideas, character arcs, soundtrack, and having meetings. How can I transition into something like this or fall in love with animating again to get me there? Interesting. Wow. It's like kind of a crisis that's going on here.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that the list there, like making decision on things, story ideas, character arcs, soundtrack, having meetings. Meetings, really? You enjoy meetings?
Yeah, I don't know.
It seems that this is some of the stuff that he or she likes to do. That's a funny one. I feel like we're going to play with this one for more than 2 minutes. It's not going to be a yes or no. That's for sure.
Yeah.
The first question I would have for that person is, how long have you been? Like a month or 2 years?
Yeah.
Because is that just a temporary lack of motivation?
Yeah.
Or it's a full-on, let's change career crisis that you should do something about it?
Yeah, I get the sneaky suspicion. It feels like someone's been doing it for a while. My guess is like 8 to 10 years. It smells like an 8 to 10 year question. I mean, it's like mid-career crisis, like they talk about the midlife crisis.
Yeah.
I think, and maybe you're kind of thinking, is there more to this? Or am I like, do I keep doing this? Like, I don't know, like if I got another 10 years in me, I think it's sort of probably what's going on.
Yeah.
And maybe you're looking over the shoulders of some of the directors, and maybe operating on a bigger, more macro level is maybe becoming a bit more interesting to you. Maybe because you better understand the process and you think, oh, hey, or maybe because you're looking around going, why is everyone terrible at this? I think I can do better. It could be lots of reasons why you think you want to take a crack at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree. There's questions that are being raised here.
I would say it's probably good to remind yourself. I don't remember what's the exact number, but like people nowadays will have 5 different career on average.
It's true.
And actually, if I'm making the count, I'm probably close to 5, because I started as a graphic designer, then went into being an animator. Then I would say animation director is different enough from being an animator to be almost it's a different thing. Then I became a cinematic director. So now you're on set with actors, you read scripts, you supervise storyboards, all of it. And today, what I can only describe as being an entrepreneur with, co-founder and CEO of Agora Studio, which I'm still trying to figure out what it really means.
I don't know if that's nebulous. I think to try to define that truly would be a very difficult job.
Just don't run out of money. Recruit people. Do good PR.
Don't run out of money.
Branding, culture, crisis management, all of it. So, I'm already have my 5th career, and I still consider myself young, even if the audience here would most probably disagree with that statement. So all this to say that it's normal.
Totally normal.
You will, if being a character animator is your first career or even your second one, most probably you will not end your career as a character animator. So let's just at least frame this question. This is something normal that the vast majority of people will go through.
Do not panic. Do not panic. It is normal. It is a
normal.
Regular scheduled test alarm system. Contact your local emergency
It's funny because,
center.
I feel we had a question that was a bit similar to this one, and it was, what are the signs that you're ready for a change of career or something like that? And I think let's assume it's not been 1 month that you're out of motivation. It's been, let's say, a year or 2, and let's assume this fictional character, Brent, that you've described, that is 8, 9, 10 years of experience, mid-career crisis and all that. So yes, if for a certain period of time you have a hard time to motivate yourself to animate, and you keep on looking at the neighbors and like, oh, that looks really fun for that's a sign. That's your sign.
Totally.
Now the question is, what because there was a lot of things on there, right? There was making decisions, story ideas, character arcs, soundtracks, so some audio stuff, meetings. So where to go from there? For me, there's like 3 different things that you should ask yourself. What are you naturally good at? Would probably be the number one. If you are a super shy, introverted person, don't put yourself in a situation that you will have to do pep talks to like 100 people every Friday. That just, you will be miserable. You will hate it. On the flip side, if you're a super social person, don't get yourself isolated and being this one. So, what are you naturally good at? What do you like to do, or at least do not hate to do? Because I think that as a professional artist, anything that is a passion, like music or writing, when you do anything 40 hours a week, it will get to a point that you will most probably not be passionate about it on the long run. You might still be inspired and motivated, but passion is going to fade away. So at least, what do you not hate to do? And probably, I don't know if it's the most important part, but leverage the experience that you already have. So yeah, you can go and become a lawyer if you are an animator. Why not? Maybe, but if you do, maybe a lawyer in the animation industry to be able to defend cause of freelancers or something like that. Just leverage what you the expertise that you've already have in hand, and use it to kind of not start from nothing, but start from the experience that you already have.
I would also say, if you're in a position to, if you're like around, like it sounds like you're in a production, or at least in productions. So it sounds like these other types of jobs are within close proximity. Maybe spend some time talking to the people who do those jobs. Make sure that do a little bit of homework, because grass is always greener on the other side, right? Sometimes when people start losing the magic spark, they just go and they go towards the cool looking shiny thing, and they don't necessarily know enough about it, and then they realize, it's you don't want to just leave a well-established career and jump into something that you're going to hate, for instance, like David was saying. So spend some time learning about it, and then do some plus and minus sort of exercises where you're kind of like weighing your own strengths against this obvious sort of needs and requirements of these different jobs that look interesting. Another consideration could be to change the format. Maybe if you're in feature film, go into try VFX, try video games, try something that might completely change your perspective, because it will open up other doors, because things are done very differently. Maybe just the change of scenery, or the change of process, or the change of sort of final product is enough to kind of reinvigorate your attitude, and your not the attitude is the wrong word, but your love or your interest in the craft. It's possible.
Yeah, I agree that at least before proceeding with a change, just change team, change project,
maybe even company,
change the studio. Exactly. Just give it another try, or maybe you're already convinced that no, I really want to do this. But if you're not sure, I don't know, I feel like I still have something in the tank, but I don't feel the spark anymore. Well, just try something else.
Totally.
Try animate something completely different, and changing team, maybe industry and all that will definitely help.
One last idea here is size of team can make a big difference. You, rather than finding yourself needing to become migrating into a leadership role, maybe all you need to do is work for a smaller team, because the smaller teams, they require a lot more sort of close collaboration, which is probably going to be more exciting, and ownership beyond usually one single craft. So work at a small VFX company, or a small sort of bootstrapped kind of indie game studio or something like that could really excite you, because you're going to start feeling like a pioneer again. And that for good reasons and for some bad reasons. I mean, it's not all rainbows and lollipops over there either, because now suddenly you don't have as deep of pockets in the production budget, so things are a bit more difficult. You can't do things you normally would have been able to do at the bigger company. But you take the good with the bad, and maybe just a change of pace just completely kickstarts your engine again. It's very possible.
Yeah. There's story ideas, character arc, and all that. It seems that story in general is something that seems to interest you. And I have I don't know, Brent, if you remember Jean-Sébastien Duclos. He was an GS Duclos. He was an animator on Axis. So I'm making you rewind 20 years in your. So it was a background in traditional animation. Became a CG animator, and then was like, you know what, I want to draw. I like storyboard, and slowly steer. Now is a amazing storyboard artist.
There you go.
Ramiro Bélanger is someone that I studied with. Started as an animator, and then slowly geared towards writing. So he's writing a lot of script. One of our good friend Daryl Purdy that started as an animator and slowly steer. Oh, I like to story, be with actor and all that. Now he's a performance and cinematic director, spending a lot of his time with actors and all that. So if it's rare that you just do a 90-degree shift overnight.
Yeah.
but it's more that you slowly get
Yeah.
interested with the work, and
Exactly.
you discuss more with storyboard artists, and eventually maybe like someone is calling sick and you're like, oh, maybe I can help, and it's not going to be as great as their work, but it's going to be enough to, or maybe you're the one that is editing their their boards to provide the animatic. One thing is leading to another, and 2 years after, you have your first opening at being a storyboard artist. So it's
Yep.
just like put an aim and slowly steer in that direction. One
Yep.
thing is going to lead with
Yep.
another. You're going to meet the right people and have the right opportunity to make this this transition.
Yep. And
There
even
was
if you
some,
don't know if what the trajectory is and have something to aim at, just opening yourself up to a change. Like just literally put yourself out of your comfort zone. Like that's all you need to do. Like what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You don't like it? Oh, okay. Try something else. I mean, basically, well, there's one guaranteed outcome is going to come from not doing anything, and that is nothing will change, and you will probably just lose your mind with boredom. So just literally any change can lead to a bigger change. It doesn't all have to, like David says, you don't have to reinvent yourself overnight. Just small course, like a small, like 5 or 10 degree course correction now in any direction other than what you're doing will be a pretty big change in the long run if you continue to go down in that direction, or who knows where it's going to lead. Maybe you continue to make course changes and you end up in a completely different industry. It doesn't matter as long as you just sort of try shit and follow your heart and just put yourself out there.
Yeah, steer a little bit and let time do the rest. And just a little shift of a few angles after long enough is going to be a complete different direction than if you have done nothing. And there was an element in there, having meeting again. that's a funny one. But if you're actually someone that does enjoy meeting, it depends. If it's more like brainstorming, it means that you like to exchange ideas and you might be very creative. So writing, directing, and all that. But maybe you have some management skills.
Yeah,
and
true.
In my experience, some of the best managers that I work with were people that were in production first. So they were, let's say, animators that just naturally were well organized, that could communicate with clarity, that were good with people in general, good, emotional intelligence, good with PR. And so naturally, hey, you know what? You take maybe a lead position, and eventually, instead of going towards the lead supervisor director path, you go more towards the management. So start at helping with coordination, maybe eventually project manager, and being a producer is probably like the top of that direction. But again, one of the things that is the most challenging for managers in general is that they are managing, they are coordinating the work of people that often they don't really understand what they are doing, or they don't correlate that, oh, this request is going to take X amount of time. They rely on people on their team to tell them. If you already have that experience, if you're the project manager of an animation team and you've been animating before, you have a pretty good sense that what the director is asking is going to require to redo 1 week of work. So that's a major advantage for anyone that wants to go as in a management position, to have that experience.
Yep. Think outside the box. I think it goes back to what David said before, like know your strengths. What is it you really like to, like, yes, there's cool looking roles and things that you do on the production floor, but like try to boil it down to even more specific things. Do you like organizing things? Do you like communicating? Do you like what are the kind of the sort of the typical, minute to minute things that during the day that you would like to be occupied doing?
What are the things that you do naturally?
Yeah.
Those that you don't have to force yourself, oh yeah, I have to be good at this. No, your natural talent, quote unquote, is what you do without even thinking. And somehow for you, it seems easy. Like, I don't know, I get in a room with 20 people and I'm the one that is making fun and, is just entertaining and all that. Well, you might not realize that it's not the majority of people that are able to, communicate in a way that you're going to capture the attention of a room. So that's a skill.
It is, absolutely. Use it. Use it. All right, let's jump on we got Ender. He's got a question in here. Let's bring it up here. Ender asks, hey, David and Brent, how was your experience when you guys switched from animating your ideas to animating other people's visions?
Ooh, that was amazing.
Best
I was
moment of my
tired of
life.
having to come up with ideas. The first thing I have to mind is for me, this would be the transition from being at school to being a professional animator. Um,
Professional
uh,
anything. I think when you're a
yeah,
professional artist, commercial artists, just that's the job is
yeah.
working on other people's ideas.
For me personally, the first few years I was just so focused just at becoming decent at what I was doing that I was not even thinking about is it well, there was no frustration whatsoever to work on the project of other
Yeah.
people's idea. I was still very creative, but I had a band. I was working, I was playing guitar, I was composing music, I was doing video editing, like snowboard video that were shooting. I was doing photography. I was creative in a lot of other things, so I didn't feel the any frustration of not being able to proficiently or being
Yeah.
paid to animate my own ideas. It was not a need at all. And having other passion on the side, other
Oh yeah.
creative output on the side is something that we are mentioning often.
Yep.
It's I don't know if it's essential, but I do not know a lot of artists that do not
Yeah.
have something else on the side that is often not their profession.
Yeah, I think it's definitely part of the magic recipe, especially for some people. Maybe not for everybody. Like some people just they scratch that itch completely at work. They don't mind working with other people's ideas because for them it's not about their ideas, it's about polishing their craft. Like they make it a game in their head or something, like just getting better, getting faster. Like everyone's different, but I do agree that there is a trend that lots of animators, lots of artists have something, like they even have their own projects at home. You got some sort of hobby. Like I know people that are big into things like woodworking and carpentry. That's a big trend I find, because people, like, what we do is we work with our hands kind of, but on mouse and keyboards, but we don't really build anything you can touch. You can sort of see it, but you can't really kind of. So I find that there's a big trend for digital artists to want to work in something that makes use of their hands, where they build tactile things that exist.
Yeah.
But that's not for everybody either. Like basically, you might need an outlet to help some of that creativity, the self-driven creativity land, and to sink its teeth into something.
Yeah. Something we mentioned again with Pierre today is, the challenge for any professional artist is to be passionate, motivated, and inspired enough to care about you do, but
Yeah.
have a healthy distance and a thick skin to not be
Yeah.
attached to
Yeah.
it. I would say one of the worst attitude, or name it however you want, from professional artists and animators, is when they make too much a shot of their own, and they make it personal, and they're going to not fight but always argue against the either the notes of the animation supervisor or the vision of the director. And it feels that, oh, it's my shot, it's my own, I should be allowed to do whatever I want to do with it. No, it's not your production. It's not you that is paying for this project. It's not you that is responsible for the story. It's not you that has the pressure to make sure that all of those elements are aligning in the same direction. You are an extension of all of those people going in the same direction, and you need to follow that direction as well. Is ideally, you don't want to be micromanaged. You want to have a sandbox that you can play in,
Yeah.
but that's your sandbox. Don't If you're trying to go over here, the director's job or the supervisor's job is to bring you, no, we are here, this is the direction that we are going. So I would say, coming back to having other project on the side, other creative project that you can fully scratch that itch as much as you want when you're home. No one is going to tell you what to do, but when you come back, At the studio, you are there to fulfill the vision of someone else at the best of your capacity. So I would say, if this question is coming from a place that you feel that you have this desire to be in control of your art, great. Start side project on the side,
Yep.
and you will be 100% in control of
Yep.
it. No one is going to bother with it.
Yep.
To bother you with it.
And who knows, it might even lead to like something bigger, like I know people who started little projects like this and it ended up turning into like a television series.
Yeah.
It's just the way it kind of goes. You put yourself out there and you don't do it for that reason, but like, you never know what's going to happen if you put yourself out there, and you might find yourself, next thing you know, you're years down the road directing your own series, which could be pretty cool.
If you're an extremely creative person and you work on this craft, and over time, yes, maybe you're going to have a shot at directing or having investment in your own
It's
projects.
rare to manage expectations, for sure, I think, which is David is kind of hinting at here. But the point is you never really know. Sometimes by putting yourself out there in a way that, like, if you have a really interesting message that other people really like listening to, that's what leads to these kind of relationships, right?
Yeah, and that's when it's very cliche, but it's very true that, just enjoy the journey. Even if you have a target of, okay, I'm going to create this short film on my own and I'm going to try to find investment. Great.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the journey.
Yep.
Just tell yourself in advance, even if would you still do it if no one cared at the end of the day? Yes, and go. And maybe it'll work out and you'll have an investment, but at the very least, enjoy it, because chances are slim.
Yep. Some people, all they need is a sketchbook, funny enough.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all you need, is just like to do daily sketches. Okay, I got another question here. This one is from our friend Petar. Let me drop it in. It's also a long one, so I'm going to have to read it off the sheet, but I'll put it in chat so you can see it, David. And but people watching are not going to be able to see the whole thing. When you're catering your reel for a dream studio, but there's no spot available right now and you need a job, do you still stick with it and run the risk of alienating other studios, even though you may need a job right now? Or do you go for a general reel that has a widespread reach for jobs, at least for the time being, to get you some income? A very specific question.
Pretty specific. It's awesome. Pilar is asking himself a lot of questions.
He is a very cerebral dude. We I think you need to become a professional interviewer, Petar.
Awesome. The short answer for me would be start with a generic show reel.
Yeah,
that would be the short answer. The long, more philosophical answer would be you need to go with the flow. Your dream job might not actually be the job that you think that is going to fulfill your dream. You might get there and be disappointed, but this very average job on the side that you barely looked at might be the job that's going to make you meet this supervisor that's going to have a massive impact in your career for the best. So in general, although I still advise start with a general show reel, and maybe after a couple years, I would say if you had enough time with, let's say, VFX and animated feature, you have one that is more creature VFX and another one that is more because you have so much good material that you can have two minutes show reel, sure. But at the end of the day, for now, just go with the flow and do not stick to, but I really want to go into that studio, so I'm going to work on my reel until I'm able to go there.
No,
don't
do it.
Go with the flow, send your show reel in many places, accept any offer that you find that is at least interesting if it's not in that studio, and just take advantage of the opportunity that are going to come your way.
There's no reason why you have to take your eye off the prize. I mean, when you get the general one out there, at least you've covered most of your bases at this point. Now you've just guaranteed, or at least didn't guarantee, but you've increased the odds and the chances of getting yourself a job dramatically by having a demo reel constructed that can possibly advertise your abilities. But then once that's done, what's stopping you from then building a side reel that's totally catered towards that company. Of course you could do that. Like what would stop you from doing that? Literally nothing. And that would be a reel that you would only send to that one company. I'm sure the company would be flattered that you would make something so tailored. But just because you do that, spend that kind of time and energy, doesn't guarantee the job either. So, you have to manage your own expectations with regards to the amount of work you put into it. But I mean, I agree with David. Put the general, that is priority number one. Put together a really good, well-rounded reel that shows the best of all the things you can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we often talk about showreel, and there's something that we talk a little bit less often about is that the industry, especially recruiting, is changing rapidly. As before, I mean, the good old days, you would send your tape and eventually a CD, and now it's just a Vimeo link. But the more and more people are very active on social media. They're very active on LinkedIn. You don't necessarily just have one show reel that you send to studios. You can, okay, how many pieces on your show reel do you really like? You have 14 animation. Okay, well, post them on LinkedIn every other day with a little comments of how you got inspired by this idea and who provided feedback to help you to get there. Maybe post it on Instagram as well, and just send it out there. And if you have a new piece that you're happy with, that you're allowed to share it there. Just bite size on multiple platform. I assure you that recruiters are paying more and more attention to all those different channel of communication. So it's keep this in mind on top of and if you do so, and if in your mind you had two different show reel, and more, let's say, creature one and stylized character animation one, just post those in one after the other, and each time share something interesting, a little interesting story with each one of those pieces, and that might go a long way to have more opportunities coming your way. It comes back to what we mentioned with Manny in a stream, a few animator artists in general, professional artists in general, will realize that, okay, I'm in charge of the branding of how much studios are aware that I exist. And if you do a good job at it, you won't need to look for work anymore. You will just let all those demand coming your way, and then you can choose, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I haven't done Creature for a while. I'll take this one. Ooh, that's a cool one. I'm going to book this in 6 months from now when I'm done with this other gig. That's the best case scenario, but it's totally, there's a lot of people that I know that are not now just doing that. They're just let the opportunities come, and they pick the best one.
Yeah, it would sound and feel very far-fetched for someone who's just starting out, and I totally get it. But like, you know what? I agree with David. You know, like, it's something you start building towards now, because you start building a reputation at this stage, and how you put yourself out there and how you're branding yourself, and just your ethic that you put into improving yourself and messaging that improvement on a regular basis. Like again, another thing that Manny was talking about, this idea of updating your demo reel with these nice little pleasant updates. He probably has he probably had like a mailing list of all the main recruiters, and he just was sending it out like a mailer by, hey, just me again. Just want to let you know I've got a new version of the demo reel. I hope everyone's doing real well. Happy weekend. And that's it. Like no pestering, nothing like this. Just good professional messaging, friendly, and more importantly, the content is clearly increasing in quality every single time you put something out there, literally. And then one day you're going to get that first job, and then it's going to be another job. And then if you continue to do it even while you're working, that's when that shift is going to happen. They're going to start calling you instead of the other way around.
Yeah, and if you want to go one extra step, plan your posting ahead of time, and try to see what is going to go viral at what period of time. Just say, okay, you're preparing an animation. It will be ready for Christmas. You're going to post it on Christmas morning. People will find it funny or share it because of, just go search what makes things viral. And then that if you post it on LinkedIn, as the viral reach is still really high compared to Facebook and Instagram. And on top of that, it's, the connection of your connection are already probably in some of those studios. So you just have a few comments, a few likes, a few share, and it's going to reach out to a lot of recruiters at the same time. So just try to think ahead of time if that's something that that you're looking for to build your own branding and have more opportunities coming your way.
Yeah, and think outside the box here too. Like, LinkedIn is the very bare minimal. Just learn how to leverage it. There's already a lot of tools built in. LinkedIn, in combination with something like Vimeo or YouTube, is a powerful combination. If you want to take it a bit further, you could even create your own YouTube channel and maybe start putting some content out there, because just, what happens when you start doing that and start doing maybe some tutorials, if you find that you don't have to be amazing at it. If you're good enough that you understand how to do some pretty cool stuff in some software, it's enough to start putting, because that more than a lot of other people that haven't done it before. And this paints another picture of you. It paints your ability to communicate. It paints your ability and your desire to put yourself out there and help other people around you learn. This is a whole other side skill that is now suddenly being marketed as not just what you can do as far as animation or modeling or whatever it is that you're doing these days. It's showing a bunch of other peripheral skills that are important and complete the picture as to who you are as a person and what they could probably expect to see on the production floor. So just putting it out there. There's lots of ways of showing off that are not limited to demo reels.
Yep.
And
just a quick tip.
Yeah.
When you're posting on those platforms, post native video. Let's say you're posting one on LinkedIn, upload the video on LinkedIn directly rather than putting a Vimeo link. This will allow, on the feed, the autoplay, especially for animation. When there's a character that starts to move, it captures the attention. So just make your research, and there's plenty of ways to have way more reach by no investment at all.
Yeah. So in other words, if you have a bunch of different platforms, always just post duplicates on those natively, as opposed to just one place, YouTube, and then only linking to YouTube, all those different places. He's totally right. Like Facebook, same thing. Like it prefers and prioritizes content that's on their platform. It's just the way the algorithms work. So, you want to get really fancy, start looking into things like Hootsuite and have simultaneously broadcasting things to multiple platforms. I mean, that in itself is interesting. I know somebody who was doing that kind of stuff and suddenly got tapped for a community management position at a video game company, just because they needed somebody who was very savvy in those ways, and they took the job, and now they love it. They didn't even look back, because they liked animating. They probably still like animating, but they were a social person, and they just shone very brightly at doing these kinds of things, and someone noticed because they were just doing it automatically. It's crazy what happens when you put yourself out there.
Yeah, now we're looping right back in the first question. How to do a change career? Well, just do that stuff that you would like to do naturally, and maybe someone one day will say, hey, you look pretty good at doing this thing. How about we pay you to do it?
Totally. Oh, look at this. Scott has got a question. Is it a legit one? I didn't even read it. What do you wish you'd known before becoming a CEO? That's a juicy one. Everything.
All of it. Funny. It's the story of why eventually you need such title is when other studio are reaching out and say, oh, for legal reason or whatever, we can only speak with the president or the CEO, or please advise. Oh, we don't have one, but sure, talk to me. Yeah, no, we need to then you're like, oh god, all right, let's figure this thing out. So what I wish I knew before. I think just I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that can prepare you, because there's no. I think that everyone does it very differently. There are some entrepreneurs that are much more, PR sales driven, so they will always have their time with clients in meeting. Others that are much more like HR driven, so they will focus on recruiting and making sure that the culture and everything. Others are more technological, so they will ensure that the pipeline, the tools, and there's proper investment in that. Others are super creative, so they're, as soon as there's a little bit of income, they're going to reinvest to create some IP and all that. So there's no one size fits all. That's for sure. So I don't know if there's anything I wish I knew before, because I'm still very much figuring it out. As Pierre said this afternoon, I'm listening to a lot of podcasts to try to figure out how others are doing. And then at some point, you listen to enough testimony that you're like, oh, okay, well, everyone is doing it differently. So let's just do what feels natural for the team, for where we are going, and all that. So it's
it's kind of extra crazy for you because you're in a very untapped space, right? Like the Agora studio is positioned to be a very innovative and very progressive when it comes to the kind of the concept itself. So it's like, who do you even like who do you look to? You can't look to a specific other company and go, oh, I mean, I could see the choices that they made. Let me try to avoid their mistakes and try to make the same kind of good decisions. It's like you're kind of, all you can do is look for inspiration on how to run a company and how to be a good CEO. That's like the best you can really do, right? So uncharted territories.
Not long ago, I was spending a lot of my time to explain that, yes, people working from home works, and explaining what Zoom was. It was a lot of my time that was that. I don't have to do that anymore. Most figure out that, okay, work from home is actually something that does work. So now, but it's always asking yourself. So as I mentioned before, do not run out of money, because you need to continue to pay people. Like rule number one. But for the rest, there's a lot of, okay, where are we going? Because most of the decision are going to be based of where we want to go. Again, do we want to mainly invest in tech and become a platform? Do we want to create a IP and be a production studio? Do we want to double down on service and develop this part of that's the thing. It's at some point there's so much opportunities that it's as much what do you not do, and not just what do you do, because it's you're going to just take maybe 10% of all the possibilities that are out there, and depending on the what 10% you decide, it's success or failure. It's as simple as that. So 2 step forward, 1 step back, but at the same time it goes really fast. So it's
that would be what I would struggle with the most, I think, is just like, I get too excited by ideas. I mean, you know that I'm just like, oh my God, so many cool ideas. And it's like, you can't do them all. Like at the end of the day, someone needs to be at the top of the pyramid going, hey, look, these are all really great ideas. But like at the end of the day, always someone needs to be, a good CEO is always reflecting back on the core sort of business model, the core sort of like, what that company is, and making sure that the best options out of all those really great ideas are the ones that you pursue. Or does it mean the other ones won't get done one day? But like when you're taking like things 1 month at a time, you kind of need to make sure that the right ones are being focused on, right?
Yeah, and again, it's super cliche, but you need to have a good team that is surrounding you, because one of the things, that's not just related to CEO. Anyone that is in a supervising position or any position of leadership or power or whatever you want to see, there's a distortion around you. Not everyone is going to tell you exactly what they think. Many will tell you what they think you want them to tell you. So so you often, when you're a supervisor, almost every supervisor will testify that they were in a situation that they felt that person was super happy and all good, no problem, and then this person is leaving for depression or choose another job, and like, why didn't you tell me? I could have done something about it. And then you realize that, well, no, that person is not comfortable to tell you the truth, because they think that it might, you might not be happy about it, or it might badly impact their career path, or all of that. So having a team of people that you trust, that are going to be a good reality check, that you can bounce idea, and they're not just going to agree because they think that this is what you want, is also super important.
The first rule of CEO-ship, I just made up a word, is that everyone is lying to you. Everybody. Oh my God. Oh, we got a question here another question from Ender. Let's see here. Will this fit? It doesn't fit.
Almost.
Almost. This one, okay. I'll try to do my best to read through the blue. Does it affect negatively to post shots or demo reel updates on LinkedIn or any other social media for a long period of time in a recruiter's perspective? I am working actually in a parkour shot, but I have not posted on LinkedIn since the last shot I did back in June. So I think there's a bit of a typo here. I think what you're saying is it affecting negatively to not have frequent updates, I assume? Because back in June, I think the clue there. I would say no. I think, well, I mean, it doesn't affect negatively. It depends on how positive you want to look, right? Like, I think you want to, keep people updated regularly as regularly as you can, but it's not like people are like going to be like, hey, what the hell? Ender put out an update. It's June, really, slacker? Like, I don't think that's the case, really, personally, but it's going to be up to you.
Yeah, the easy answer is no. It doesn't impact negatively. I mean, the harsh truth, which is a good thing and a bad thing, is that most of those recruiters and studios and all that, they really don't care. I mean, they're more focused on their own reality and the fact that they're stressing because they need to find those artists yesterday.
Absolutely.
And their own supervisory. So they're already in their own mind, and they see like hundreds of others. So the fact that you did not updated something on LinkedIn for 2 months now is totally like,
not even on the radar.
It's a great thing. For the most part, no one cares. It means that, take your time. And when you have another piece, if you're prolific and you're a Beeble, that's his name, Beeble, that was doing Beeble, and you're doing one painting a day and you can post it, great.
Awesome.
Great for you. You are part of the 0.0001 of those that are able to be dedicated to their craft. But for Animator, I mean, 3 new pieces a year, 2 new pieces a year, 1 a year. Honestly, you just need one good piece that goes viral at the right time, and everyone is. I talked about this, the example of this junior animator. I don't remember her name, but she was from Spain, and I was blown away by the show reel that I saw on LinkedIn. And when I say to another supervisor, not related at all, hey, did you saw it? Yeah, I saw that. I was like, okay, that went viral. If this random supervisor in this random studio also saw the same, it's literally the only thing that she had posted.
That's so lucky.
So it helps if you do it regularly, but it's not required.
Now, that being said, what you don't want to do is never update your stuff, but continue to put out the same thing. Don't do that. That is the opposite of what you want to do, because all you're doing is saying, hey, take a look at my cool demo reels. Does anybody have a job? And then crickets, and then 1 month later, hey, everybody, here's my cool demo reel. Anyone to give me a job? Same demo reel, same crickets. It's, at some point, like, you got to be self-aware enough to be like, okay, well, obviously it wasn't good enough the first time, or maybe it was. Maybe just there were no jobs at that time, but it doesn't matter. Use that time wisely and assume that you can, because you want to be able to at least establish a trend of self-improvement no matter what. When things are terrible, and like you can't get a job and the world's on fire, you're still improving. It's like, because that's what people want to see, is perseverance and passion, and people that are not going to just give up and just sort of cash in. So no matter what, you're going to get lots of points by just making sure you're always just even making small updates. Never ever repeat the same thing. That's a bad idea. Hopefully we answered your question okay there, Ender. Hopefully that was good. We got another one here from the archives from David Chiagare. Oh my God, I can't say that last name. Sorry if you're here and I butchered your last name. Okay, I'm going to post it right here and pretend I didn't just do a terrible job. There we go. And this one reads a little like this. Are students considered in the industry, or once you get a job, that once you are in, hold on, I don't know if I fully understand it. Are students considered in the industry?
So basically, are you considered to be in the industry only when you have a job?
Oh, God, I wasn't reading it like that at all. Yeah, exactly. I'm so dumb. Wow. That's a really cool question, actually. I think it depends on who you ask.
It's funny. I don't recall any question or discussion about being in or out of the of the industry. Um, I mean, first of all, it really doesn't matter. Let's start there.
Yeah, yeah.
If you consider yourself in the industry, you're in. You're welcome.
Mhm.
Are you a professional artist? Well, have you been paid to provide work? Even if it's only been for 1 week of work, yes, okay, you can consider yourself that you've been at least once a professional artist. Now, are you in the industry as a student, or are you already in the industry? I would say, from my perspective, probably not. But maybe some would consider it. Um, yeah, it's a funny one because it's. I don't think there's really is a thing as being in the industry or not. You
Yeah.
are either a amateur, a
Yeah.
student,
Mhm.
a junior, mid, senior, leads,
Yeah.
but the in and out is not really part of the conversation. I think
Yeah.
it's more like, do you animate? If we let's assume it's an animator, do you animate, and where are you at in your progression from knowing nothing, never open a software, to supervising a team of
Yeah.
20?
Yeah, exactly. Joe Animates, you were tagged in this, so I hope you're preparing your answer. I don't know if this is some sort of interesting rivalry that we got going on here, but I like it. So please do prepare your answer and post it. I'll read it out to everybody once it's there. My answer to this question is, I used to teach at a brick and mortar school, so I have a special take on this. I always considered students sort of honorary industry members. And the reason why I kept a division and not really calling them into industry is because I thought it was fun that after their 3 years, that regardless of whether they get a job or not right away, that they're part of the, I like to welcome them into the official fold of the animation industry. It feels good to them because it gives them immediately some sort of feeling of belonging. They had a hard road ahead. They accomplished something and they finished their training. And I think that that's important to reward people for that kind of perseverance, because 3 years can be a long haul learning something, especially at these schools that tend to be pretty difficult. There's a lot of work usually involved.
So, Brent, what about someone that finishes class, but after 2 months doesn't get hired, is not patient enough, and goes back to work at the postal office?
Yeah.
Is he still in based on your standard?
I think that if at that point, if they still are trying to get a job and they're still working on their work, trying to get a job, I would say, yeah, sure, why not? But if they've just throw the towel in and they just have no interest and they like literally kind of leave the industry, I guess, then I would say, but I mean, I guess we're splitting hairs at that point. It does happen. People do eventually sometimes give up because they're just like, sometimes for financial reasons, they can't keep putting demo reels together and they need to get a job. And sadly, they never get around to finding another opportunity to put themselves out there to try to get that job again. And they kind of like that, let that dream die. It's always tragic to see. I saw a lot of that happen back at Sheridan because Sheridan was no joke. It was very difficult. Anybody who's ever gone to Sheridan, I went back in the golden era of Sheridan right before things changed a lot in the industry. It was right when like 2D was really big. They were hiring people, right? Like Square Enix. Okay. Fun story. Square Enix opened up a studio, and most of you are either too young or weren't even born probably
Hawaii,
when this happened.
right?
In Hawaii.
Yes.
And it was a big friggin' deal. And they hired a ton of people right out of Sheridan. It was the year ahead of me. The graduating class right before me got tapped. A lot of them. I know a lot of people who went.
Wasn't it Squaresoft? We'll have to look it up because they're the one that did the flight of the Osiris for the in the Animatrix.
Squaresoft as opposed to Square Enix, you mean? The same company, right?
Continue. I'm going to do a quick search.
David's going to fact check me. But basically, it was like the gold rush. There were people like Fox Animation Studios, headed up by Don Bluth, was hiring down in Arizona. You had Disney, who was like actively trying to gobble up as many talented people as they could. It was pretty crazy. It was intense, and it was a lot of competition to get these jobs, even though there was like a lot of interest in trying to hire the students, and people would burn out. because of that competition. It felt very, and I saw some people that were actually pretty good that just flunked out. The other problem with Sheridan back then is they had like a bell curve. They had 4 classrooms for first years, 2 for second years, and only 1 for final year. And that had to do with space and resources. And so they needed to find a reason to not let you continue because they were always trying to pare it down. Now that worked out well because it was sort of like the Hunger Games of animation. And what you ended up with is pretty much the cream of the crop, because if you had to survive those 3 years, quite literally. But that was hard on people because people that were good just didn't make the curve. Some people actually flunked out. I actually never finished. I didn't survive the Hunger Games. I didn't make it out of second year, and I didn't do third. But I got a job right away and I kept going. But I know a lot of people who went the other route and just never looked back. And it's sad because they were really good artists and they just felt like that message was, I can't make it. So David, fact check.
Yeah, it was actually Square. It was before the merge with Enix. So
okay. Yes, it was Square only. Yeah, okay.
So they did the Final Fantasy animated feature, and then they did Flight of the Osiris for the Animatrix series. And then you're like, wow, that cost a lot of money being here.
And then
it goes down.
Shut it down. That's it. Yeah, it was weird because it was it was this huge gold rush that spiked and then crashed within about 2 years. It was pretty crazy. And then 3D kind of ushered in a new era, and suddenly you had all these 2D animators that were displaced, and they were trying to, people at Square at least were using 3D, so they were being trained on the job. They were the lucky ones because even though the company folded, or not the company, but the studio, at least they had a new skill set that they could apply at DreamWorks or ILM, wherever the hell they wanted. That's actually where a lot of them went. So anyways, long story short, you are as far as I'm concerned, if you're applying yourself and you're really trying to learn, and you're not at a brick and mortar school, and there's no ceremony where I get to knight you and be like, welcome to the industry. You can call yourself an industry all you want, because you're just one job away from being the industry. So you get to decide. I think that part of the way you project yourself and the way you handle yourself and the way you see yourself and how serious you're going to take this adventure is, I think, already kind of part of the packaging.
Mm-hmm. We have a question there from Marina Fernanda Martinez.
Let's see here. Hello, nice talk. How do you think someone in his late 30s doing mid-level animation is looked upon? Is it hard for that person to find a job?
I would say late 30s. You're still young. So
yeah, it's like you're making me feel old right now.
Exactly. So if this question is framed as, well, late 30s, it's a little bit old. You should already be in a leadership position. I'm not, so maybe there's a problem. No, there is no problem at all. How is it looked upon? I don't think it really matters, or if it does, it may be like 28th on the list of things that really does matter compared to, are you professional? Are you someone that is fun to work with? Are you a team player? How is your craft? Are you technical? Do you help others? Do you always need support? Do you shower in the morning? I mention it because that's a problem that I've seen before.
How's your personal hygiene? Oh man, that's funny.
But the direct output and compared to your age, I don't think it doesn't make a big impact compared to all of those other things, including personal hygiene that we mentioned.
I would say I have a less optimistic view, but only slightly less, in the sense that it does depend on the studio. There are studios that are the main names for themselves over the years as being very, how do I say this in an appropriate way, but very kind of workaholic culture. And I think those particular studios may be bias and may be a little discriminatory depending on the profile, the personal profile of that person. For instance, I've heard horror stories of it being very difficult for mothers of children especially those who are still actively, growing a family. I've like it's a thing. It's not a thing everywhere, but it can be a thing. And so it really depends on where you're looking to get hired. But I think that the more progressive companies, the ones that are like, we just want you because you're a good human being, which seems to be a rare thing sometimes, and you have skill. I mean, those two things are the most important, along with a bunch of these other peripheral things that are important. But it really is a dependent on the studio and the studio culture that will have a possible say in this.
I think there's many questions that would be important to kind of have a better understand of this question. So, for instance, you're in your mid 30s. When did you start to animate? You started at 20 years old. Okay, you've been in this business for 18 years. Did you recently change paths? So maybe you were a rigger that became an animator. So basically, how long are you doing what you're doing now? And are you still growing? Are you still improving over time? If you've been doing the same thing or animating for 10 years and you kind of plateaued a little bit, then my next question would be, well, do you want to improve, or are you just satisfied with a good paying job that's going to maintain this? And you go in, you do your work, you're pleasant with everyone, and you go back, take care of the family, and deal with other stuff that is more important to you. If it's the case, and just continue to do that.
Absolutely.
If you're like, oh, I really want to grow and improve, okay, well, maybe more time will need to be invested to learn. And if you're not on a project or a team that's going to allow you to improve at work, well, it's something that you might have to do on the side. So maybe an online class, maybe working on your own your own craft and getting feedback from others. So it's a matter of perspective. Where are you now? Where do you want to go? How much have you been evolving in the past few years, and is this in sync with where you are going in general? But overall, do someone in their late 30s with all this background would be frowned upon because they're not already at a upper management or supervising or leadership position? No, not at all.
Yeah, and Scott in chat had a good point here too, but he says in some ways it gives you more life experience and looked upon as being more mature, which is true. Again, it comes down to company culture. What are they looking for? Are they looking to fill in their ranks with people that are just good human beings with some life experience that can help round out the team? Maybe it's a young team and they need some guidance and they need some people on the floor that can help them with just basic coaching on life. Like you never know. Like at the end of the day, it always will come down to what they're looking for. Because there's lots of studios, like to on David's point, if it doesn't really matter if you can do the job, there's lots of these big companies that'll hire you because they have a lot of these seats to fill. They just need someone to come in, be pleasant, be professional, get the job done, go home. And no one really cares. I mean, one thing is for sure, and different places too are different. Like Quebec, for instance, to toot the horn of this particular province a little bit, it's very. It took me a while to adjust to the culture here, because I'm originally from Toronto, and Toronto, it's got a very live to work kind of vibe to it. Like everyone's being like it's a rat race. Everyone wants to be better than the next person, and but here it's totally different. It's much more work to live scenario, very, very family oriented. People, it's just an accepted fact that people are going to be putting family first. And so generally speaking, a lot of the policies and a lot of the HR policies reflect that reality. And and that's also interesting to kind of keep note of is geographically where you're looking for a job can have an effect on the sort of what people are looking for and where their concern points might be. But 30, as David said, 30 is young, man. Like I wish I was 30 doing, oh my God. Can I be 30 again? That'd be great. We are out of time. We are 5 minutes after.
Shit already.
It happens just like that. You blink and then.
I know. When you're saying we're out of time, usually you take one last and then we could put ourselves back in the box.
Well, we can do that if you want. We can do it.
I don't even know if there's another one.
There is. I mean, there was one that I was trying to bring up from. I wanted to clear our our archive. We have like
Oh,
one last one in there.
are we
Let's
clearing the archive? Holy shit! All
let's
right,
do it. Let's just do it.
it.
All right. Let's
Scott,
see here.
you have some work for next week.
Yeah. And this one is actually from Scott. So how perfect. So question from Scott. What are some of the most common mistakes you see in a flight animation? I think this was an old one that we kept skipping over and over again. I don't know how it kept getting kicked to the bottom of the barrel, but let's sort this one out once and for all.
Again, full circle with the animation questions. Yeah. Let's bring back Jacob if he's here in the audience. Let's bring him back. Flight animation. I actually didn't had a lot of opportunities in my career to work on flight animation.
Scott's saying this one was actually supposed to be for Olivier, but what's it doing in the Q&A list, man? You're throwing off our game. Just kidding.
Too late. Well,
he's answering it anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go. David's in bulldozer mode. He's going to friggin' answer this question. Get out of the way.
Oh, we're going to answer it, even if we provide the worst answer possible. I've seen some pretty bad flight animation, and
me too.
Usually it's just like, dude, have you spent time to observe what a bird is really doing? Have you spent time to analyze the anatomy of a wing?
Yeah,
how it actually unfold and refold? Did you just spend time to look at stop motion footage?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, I get. Because if you're just doing this and putting some overlap so it looks like a rubber thing on the side that does this, that doesn't qualify at, doing a proper job at what you're animating right there. So most common mistake, didn't do their homeworks.
Yep.
That would 100%. Be number one on the list. That's for sure.
It is such a pet peeve of mine. Flight animations that are bad, they drive me bananas because it's not rocket science. It just shows me right away whether you're the kind of animator that takes a minute to go, I don't actually know how wings work. Let me go figure that out. And then go and put something down that moves in an appropriate way, at least approximately appropriate. It's like, it's just so like just people just phone it in. Like, oh, I'm animating a dragon, and they're moving the wings around, and they get the basic idea that there's an up and down motion and there's wings that are going up and down. The most common mistake I notice is that people will do the wings go down and the character goes up, and it's paired. There's no overlap at all between that relationship, right? It's just like immediately, as soon as there's a couple frames going down, the body going up is matching it perfectly. That's just not how it works. Lift is created. The lift will have to defeat the gravity pushing down, and then once you overcome the gravity, only then can you maybe get a little bit of lift. So the up and down is always delayed behind the actual downwards flap. Not so much that it's after the flap either. I've seen this as well. But, like David said, just literally, I think a key thing though is don't just, if you're doing a dragon, for instance, go look for heavy birds. Don't go and look at like little hummingbirds or something. It's like, find an appropriate reference so that you're actually trying to at least get close to, apples and apples, not the whole apple and orange kind of scenario that so many people tend to do.
And just by analyzing physics and anatomy and friction with air and all that, you will figure out pretty rapidly that, the way that the wing is folding up is to make sure that it's going to push the least amount of air up, and then it's going to maximize the surface of the wing to push down. And it's this constant, the least amount of air up and the most amount of air down. And actually, sometimes it's counterintuitive. You kind of think that it's going to be fast down and slow up and fast down. No, it's the opposite. It goes up faster.
Because less air resistance. Exactly.
Because there's less air resistance. I remember a little workshop that James Baxter did when we were at DreamWorks. He was offering doing like one on ours and then flying.
Like this guy knows what he's talking about.
This guy.
I would pay money to be in one of those workshops. That guy's just like a fountain of knowledge.
And I went there thinking, okay, we're going to go in, the animation software, and it's going to show us which controller to control it. No, it was basically, here's the skeleton of a bird.
Yes, let's talk about the anatomy, right?
Feathers are dealing with hair. Here's how this part, and you're like, that's an anatomy class? And I was like, well, what is this? And then by the end of it, you're like,
holy shit.
I guess I really needed this class because I had no idea what I was doing. And now I'm not good at it yet, but at least I understand what is going to.
You have an appreciation for it now. right?
that is
I
going
think
to look
it's
like.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. What the number one thing that stops animators from breaking through to a level that will make them actually kind of good. Number one thing is just this. It's just do your homework for the love of God. Don't just go and do the thing that's in your mind on what you think it is doing. No, that's just not how it works. You got to go and spend the time and admit and enjoy the journey of knowledge. I mean, if you're a really big nerd, you're going to love this job because it allows you to learn something new. But you got to be open to it and stop, put your ego on the side and be like, no, I actually don't know the answer to that question. I have no idea how wings work. We do an exercise in my animation class all the time, which is we talk about flying saucers, and we talk about what would be a good replacement for a flying saucer if you wanted to find a reference and learn how to leverage references when you can't find a good, you can't find a UFO footage, right? And we use helicopters, and it's like, does anybody know how a helicopter works? And people are just sort of like, well, the blade spins and it goes up. It's like, no, that's cute. That's not how it works. You've just described what it looks like when it works, but do you know how any of those things work? What are the qualities? What are the patterns? What are the necessary ingredients to make that whole thing go? And people are just like, holy crap, I don't know how do I not know the answer to that question? And animators need to get to the bottom of that. We're almost like little artistic scientists that need to sort of experiment and understand. It could be a lot of fun if you just sort of put your mind to it and do the homework.
Yeah, and if you're breaking the rules, know why and make sure that it
Yes,
fits with the rest of the project.
exactly.
I remember a movie like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. There were some little rat birds in there, and basically the wing flap was just this kind of rubber thing going on the side. But it was perfect because it kind of fit with this very crazy, hyper stylized animation, and it looked crazy. But that character was crazy in a crazy movie anyway,
Yep.
and it kind of fit with all of this super exaggerated style.
Yep.
But don't just do something random and then say, well, it's art and I can do whatever I want. No, no, that's not how it works.
It's
Understand
just
the
not.
basic,
Yeah.
try to do it, and then when you understand properly, then bend the physics and do crazy stuff, but knowing that you're actually breaking the rule and why you're doing it.
Yeah, I agree. That's an important sort of factor there. To understand how it actually works, so that you need to know the rules so you know how to break them. Because you do not know how to break rules. That's just cheating. That's just not the good kind of cheating. It's just like the lazy, I have no idea what I'm doing kind of cheating. You got to understand, because once you know those rules, you'll find it. The rule breaking is more about exaggerating than it is like making things no longer actually relevant. It's the first place you got to start. You got to start with understanding it first. And yes, I do have an animation class online. I teach for iAnimate. I do an intro to game animation workshop there. So if you're interested, you could go check that out. That is it for real. We finally finished the backlog. We no longer have questions, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, I guess we're gonna have to kind of go on a mission to fill that back up. So I'm looking at you, chat. Make sure when Scott sends out the message, heed the call and fill up that bucket.
Yeah, because otherwise next week we're going to show up and just
staring at each
stare
other
at a camera like this for until there's a question thrown our way.
One really long, awkward hour of staring. You're welcome to tune in. It might be interesting. We never know. Okay, well, David, thank you. We'll see you on the next one, and have a wonderful evening. Talk to you later, dude. Bye.
Take care, everyone.
Cheers. Let's get rid of that. Boop. One quick little thing I wanted to mention is I think I've said this before, but just in case people don't know, Scott and I do a bi-weekly Agora update now. This is to replace the videos that I used to do every once in a while that was sort of just giving an update on the platform. It's meant to be a bit more conversational and a little bit more fun, where we can talk a little bit about some of the new things that are going on, some of the announcements, some of the sort of improvements. So that happens Friday. Fridays at Scott, if you're still here, it's 3:30 that we do it? I have to go check my schedule. Fridays at Yeah, 3. Yeah, so 3 p.m. Eastern Standard is the regular every other week. So do take. I need to put that in the Agora schedule because right now it's on the calendar, which you can subscribe to. But I don't because we don't have a way to repeat events. I don't think easily, or maybe we do now. I have to go and take a closer look, but I'll make sure that's officially in there so you know when it's coming up. But we just did one last Friday, so there won't be one this week, but there will be another one next week. So do tune into that. I'll take a quick moment to just make reinforce an announcement that was made just this past Friday on that update, and that is a big update that was made to the Agora community platform, where you are now able as a user to link directly to content on Agora Community. Now there are some exceptions. You can't link learning paths. You can't link rigs, and I think it's reviews is the other thing. And that might be subject to change at some point. But right now, basically the content that's on there, like the video content, the normal content is all linkable. And you could do that before, but the people would be presented with a login screen that you needed to be a member, which is free, but it's always a little awkward to have to explain, hey, check this video. Oh, by the way, you won't be able to see it until you make an account. And it's just enough reason for people to not even bother clicking through. So that makes it a little easier to share. We're going to eventually have a share button as well to make that a little bit easier for you, which will be pretty cool. So just wanted you to know about that. Now, the other thing that is important to note about this is the other peripheral things that change because of that. For instance, you now can just go to Agora.Community right now and not even encounter a login screen. Try it if you want. Try it with a browser that you've never logged in with before, like Edge, because who uses Edge anyways? Log in and just go there, and you'll see you can now see. You can see the website, no problem. Until you try to access things like rigs, you'll be presented with a login screen. So just, we wanted to try to open it up a little bit. I'm hoping that some of you, when you find really good content on there that you'd like to share, that just share it, because it's now people can directly access it without having to become a member. We like to think that once people are there, we'll give them lots of reasons as to why they should become a member to access the other great stuff too, because there's obviously really great rigs and other great content that they could have access to just by simply creating a free account. So just wanted to put that out there. I wanted a little extra clarity. I was talking to David about this recently, and he made me aware that I didn't actually paint the big full picture of like, hey, by the way, you can just go there now. It's for sure linking, but like just anybody can just go to Agora Community and now not just have this welcome screen with only limited access. It's now pretty much almost the whole kit and caboodle, minus some of these exclusive pieces of content. So yeah, do tune in on those Friday afternoons if you're looking for updates. We're going to try to have fun with that segment. It's just Scott and I hanging out and just talking about all the cool things. So come with your questions, come with your concerns, and come for the high fives and the Australian accent. All right, I will see you all when I see you next time. Stay animated and have a good evening. Cheers.